Hello YouTube. I think this is video 3 of the SaaS Business in 30 days using $100. We're about 45 days into it now, 40, something like that. Just as a recap, what this project was to make a simple inventory for system for people, business owners, to go through and list their inventory onto a template built website that would be populated, with information they put in. And started it maybe a month and some change ago, maybe the 7th or 8th, somewhere around in there. Just kind of wanted to see if I could do it, if I could make, an actual money making business with, almost no input and just some coding. So everything was going swimmingly up until, just a couple days ago. And then I kind of hit a snag and, ended up having a late night coding session, after I came in from my actual job. And everything just kind of fell into place. And I'm like, okay, we've got some momentum. Everything's kind of rolling. And actually, I was kind of planning on launching this week. I had all the code moving around like I wanted it to. All the logic was working, all the models were built, all the databases. Everything worked and everything was fine. And I'm like, well, I need to start implementing like some version control in here. So I went to put that in and had some issues. Kind of strange, if you just get home, for some time, and it's pretty user friendly. And I'm like, well, this is odd. And so I got to messing with it a little bit and, just kind of figured it was 11 o'clock at night. I probably need to go to bed. I'll deal with it in the morning. So I got up this morning and, went for like a 4-mile run, did my thing and started looking at the files, and some of the files aren't there. I'm like, this is strange. The only thing I can figure is the thing updated from an incomplete download from my version control. Odd, So anyway, instead of trying to figure that out and to go through, I'm like, you know what? I've been working on this thing like a month and a half, but a lot of that time was me trying to figure out how to do things. And I've pretty much figured out how to do them. So I've spent the last 5 hours redoing the project. So not as hard the second time. Not as hard at all. Things are moving actually pretty fast. I've already built the login, the sign up, for the love of God. I got the the version control in, so everything's working fine now. My code's all over the place. So, that'll never happen again. And all I've kind of got left is to do some of the final logic and to build the templates. So interestingly enough, the project that's taken me a month on and off to build, I'm able to recreate in, just a couple hours, because I remember what I did. I did what I usually do in a project is I'll open a Google Documents folder and, start adding notes and, pieces in there, in case I need to refer back to, figure out what it was I did, or, what guide I used, or, where I was thinking, and, some of the logic that I used in the program. So I did have that still, but I also put a lot of that inside the code itself. I'll do it in what's called a doc string and readme files, and, just, a couple markdown files to let me know what is going on in the code. Well, I lost all that. I lost everything. So I lost everything except for the Google Docs, which, did kind of save me, and did make some changes. I figured, that I had some legacy code in there from when, I was making some changes and didn't end up doing it and went another direction. That may have what caused, some of this crash. So just cleaned all that out and went to a fresh program. And I remembered it, pretty much exactly how I went. Did change to, just a regular Django authentication system through a custom user. I went to a Django all-auth with a custom user. The reason I did that is so I could use Google login and Facebook and LinkedIn, and use their back end to let people authenticate coming in. It's a lot easier with with Django all off than trying to code that afterwards. So did kind of speed that up a little bit. Went ahead and got that integrated and got it in. Started making the models. Did figure out how to make templates. The templates file was bothering me. I was just going to go ahead and make a generic, all-encompassing template for the very beginning, but the businesses are so different. Like, you can do generic, but I've got a clothing store that's wanting to use this. I've got a gun store that's wanting to use this. I got some equipment places that want to use it. So I'm just going to go ahead and make those 3 templates, and I'll probably end up doing something along the lines of like an if statement, that if user templates equals this, go here. It will be something like that. I figure that will probably be the best way of doing it, since all of these things are tied in together. So the database schema that I'm kind of coming up with is the custom user. I'm not really messing with that very much. I've got a user profile that I'm doing a relational database with that connects to just that one user. And I'm using that to populate a lot of the website. So I'm not adding it directly into the authentication model. I'm doing it with one that's attached to it. Now, think of the user profile model as telling all the information about the company, where it is, the About Us page, the contact information, the emails that they want to have stuff sent into. That may be different than the person that signed up for it. So all this stuff is getting added in. So I needed a way to do inventory. So I'm making a separate database for inventory that, just tracks inventory stuff. It's going to have a couple generic fields in there that for people to just write whatever they want to, if they want to or not. But basically make, model, price, date listed, is this available, that kind of thing. Those are pretty standard, programming issues, and I'm relating that model to the user profile, and that will be, that's just a typical relationship, but you can have a bunch of inventory items for every one company. So every company will have this field of inventory under it. I did something very similar to the comments. The way I've got the comments set up, that if somebody has a question about one item, that it's going to be associated with the user through that model. So I'm actually having it go through to the user profile, but going through the inventory model. So it's kind of passing through as it goes, which is kind of a strange thing, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. There's always a million ways of doing this. So what I'm kind of doing with this is the comments, that when somebody has a question, that the system will email the owner of the site, and we'll give a reply email to the person asking the question. So it's kind of interesting how it's kind of coming together. I did make a few changes, since I'm having to rebuild the thing anyway, that was making it a little easier to code. It's a little more foolproof. Is that we're going basically to just a bone stock CRUD app. And when I say CRUD, that's not, is a bad thing. CRUD is an acronym for create, review, update, and delete. So pretty standard. I can use a lot of class-based views on this. A lot of things that are actually built into Django are helping me, code all this. It's a good templating system and generic views system in Django. And after that, I'm just going to kind of get to a working model, and of course saving my work 1,000 times along the way, which I knew better than, but I did anyway because I'm an idiot. So now that I've kind of got everything worked out like I like, I'm going to try to launch this week, but that is kind of tentative on how pretty I make this thing and how many templates I want to go with starting out. I think the template I'm going to end up making, the first one as the generic, and then cloning that template and then changing some of the CSS styling, changing background pictures and all that. But I really want the functionality to be relatively simple, which means they're going to be very similar. I don't think I'm going to be moving a lot of things around or going with a grid system or anything, not for an MVP anyway. Mainly I need to see if this system is going to work. I'm only charging $49 a month, but it doesn't matter if it's $49 or $490 if it's not bringing value to the people that you're trying to use this thing. It's just not going to matter. The whole system's going to go down. So what I'm kind of thinking is I'll get it up and moving, get it to those initial users, find out what their pain points are, find out what they do like and what they don't, and just make changes according to that. And the whole time I'll probably be updating things and changing a few things and whatever, just making it a little easier. I'm sure there'll be issues like going from a desktop computer down to a phone and something not lining up right. I mean, that's just computers. But being a one-man show, I really think I've got a lot of faith in this project. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It may make a little money. You never know. If nothing else, I've gotten a lot of programming experience out of it. I've written quite a few programs, but I'm nowhere even close to what I would call even just I'm a beginner programmer, but that's a pretty wide range. But I can make stuff work, and I can make things kind of pretty, and I can make it where it updates stuff. And I just started this last summer, kind of full time of giving this thing a whirl. So in the big scheme of things, 8 months, going from not even knowing how to print my name out in computer code to being able to write programs and stuff that do stuff, even if I do happen to crash them during it. But it's been an interesting few months, and maybe this thing will work out. You never know. So I've kind of blown my 30 days thing, but I have not blown my money. I'm still $24 into this so far, I think. So we've got quite a bit of money put back. I do have a couple clients that want to use it. They're ready when I am, as soon as I, quit crashing my own program. And honestly, things are going good. I'm not really even all that butthurt about my computer system dying. The fact that I can go through and replace things this quickly is actually making me kind of feel better. It means that the program is not overly complex, that that things are going the way they're supposed to. It's keeping it simple, and the code is going to be nice and clean after this. There's not going to be a lot of legacy code in there, so we're just going to see how it goes. I'll give another video in a couple days when I get this thing rebuilt and get where it's going again. So all in all, kind of a crappy day, having to redo some stuff. Probably going to work out best for me in the long run, but there we are. It was a pain. So my code for, I don't know, maybe another 6 to 10 hours. That'll put me at, I don't know, midnight, somewhere around in there. Should get most of this thing done today. Most of it. I'm sure the emails and the replies and all that other stuff I got to put in there. It's going to take me a little bit, but the nuts and bolts of this thing should be done in the next day or two. So maybe I won't even get that far off of my, my schedule that I was giving myself. So, well, if you got any questions or comments, throw it in the comment section below it, and I get them on my phone. So, as long as I'm not crashing programs again, I'll answer you. But been a neat program. I've never heard of anyone trying this. I've never tried it. I've never heard of anyone trying to do something like this. Who would be stupid enough to try to start a startup software company on $100? Sitting in his living room, getting stared at by his dog right now. But whatever. In for a penny, in for a pound. Let's see if we can make this damn thing work. But just let me know if you got any questions.